I know that they're safe. So as today, as I speak, on behalf of so many African children out there, you're important, you are heard. What you say matters, no matter what anyone else says. An institution cannot determine who you are. You do that on your own. But that only happens when our adults, when our parents give us the opportunity to do so. We blame drugs on kids, saying that kids are taking drugs because they don't understand. It is not their fault. We need to hear them, understand them, be there for them. I'm asking you to be there for us. We're not supposed to worry about what we're supposed to eat tomorrow. That is not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to worry about what am I going to do to school tomorrow. That is my responsibility. My responsibility isn't to run around and try to fend for my siblings. No. If I don't have parents, the government should do that. If I don't have parents, the adults around me should do that. For one day, I too will be an adult and another child will need me. So understand that just because I'm an African child does not mean I'm not important. It means I'm even more important because I stand as evidence of triumph every day. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Zimbabwe. My name is Tekla Bemva, and I'm here to highlight on why we celebrate the African child. Allow me to walk with you back into the past. On one fateful day in the year of 1976, when a group of individuals decided to rebel and advocate for their own rights. This was a group of people whose voice in society is often unheard but should be acknowledged. This was a group of students who realized that their education matters to them, that they should be able to take their future into their own hands and do something about it. And then many years later, in 1991, the African Union realized that this was not just an act of rebellion, but it was a cry, an anguish cry from children who deserve to be heard. And this is why every year, on the 16th of June, we celebrate the African child. So what does it mean for me to be an African child? To be an African child is not something that is unfortunate for me, but it is a privilege which I'm proud to have, because as an African child, I have the right to learn, I have the right to live, I have the right to education. And it is through commemorating days like this that I get to actively participate in ensuring that these rights are being seen through for me. So it is important for us as children to be able to acknowledge that the African child, the day of commemorating the African child, is an important day for us, because it provides an opportunity for us to be heard, to be able to participate in issues that allow us to actively participate in the decisions that affect our lives, because we are the people who are at the forefront of these situations. We are the ones who know how poor the educational systems are. We are the ones who are being subjected to child labor. Therefore, it should be our opportunity to ensure that the world knows that we are suffering, and the world is implored to know that something needs to be done.
Good morning, Zimbabwe. My name is Kevin Churi, the current head boy of First Choice Private School, Highfield Campus. Today I'm going to be talking about the Day of the African Child. So this day was commemorated to be celebrated on the 16th of June each and every year. This day was discussed by the Assembly of Heads of State of the Organization of African Union in 1991. So the day was prompted by the uprisings in South Africa, Soweto, where the children were complaining about the quality of their education. They were demanding to be taught in their native language by the apartheid regime. So the members of Assembly decided to honor this day in a bid to try and promote the rights of the children in Africa. So the day was named Day of the African Child. So the day aimed at encouraging members of state to incorporate children in their national planning, budgeting, and decision making in the country, honoring the rights of the children, assessing the child friendliness of their budgets in the country. So we've noticed that many African countries are trying by all means to incorporate the children in their budgeting and national planning. They've formulated the Junior Parliament As we celebrate the Day of the African Child today, on the 20th of June, we are officially opening the new Child Parliament in Mount Hampton. So the Parliament is there to address the issues where there's violation of rights of children and what the children may view necessary to boost our economic progress, because this Africa is supposed to be fit for its children. So it is us who have to talk about what we want, what we need, what needs to be done. So recently we have noted our Minister of Youth Empowerment, Comrade Tino Machakaire, has promoted vocational training for the youth. They have emphasized that youth must go and apply for loans and get vocational training from training centers at a low cost. This is being done so as to empower the youth for the future. We've also noted that Comrade Chivayo has pledged to donate $1 million to the EDUNZA scholarship scheme so as to boost the progress by the youth by empowering them with education and necessary skills.
Good morning, Zimbabwe. My name is Nyasha Rachel Hote. I'm in lower 6 and I'll be reciting a poem on children's rights. In the honorable words of the famous Nelson Mandela, there is no keener way into the society's soul than the way it treats its children. Back in the day, to be born in Africa and have African blood was unfortunate. Back in the day, as an African child, the moment you are able to walk on your 2 feet, you are forced into child labor. You are forced to provide for a family that is meant to provide for you. Back in the day, as a female African child, the moment you know how to say your name and the moment you know a few words, you are then unknowingly married to someone who's often your father's age. Back in the day, as an African child, going to school and having basic education was rather a privilege reserved for the wealthy and not a right. Back in the day, our concerns, ideas, and issues were not important to the government. Our voices were nothing more than just background noise. Back in the day, we were not considered in budgeting and planning, and were not important. Alas, today, I stand here as a proud African child because my rights matter. Today, as we celebrate and as we commemorate the Junior Parliament in Zimbabwe.
From the Youth Parliament building in Mount Hampton, and I'm sure that you ended up just being inspired, motivated, and learning a lot when we just had that insert from First Choice Primary School as well as Timo High School, and not forgetting the wise words from Reverend Nyanete, and we're going to have more of that as the day proceeds. So you just make sure that you stay tuned in to ZBC TV for more of that. As I said earlier on, my name is Tawana Shembezalo Kapondoro, and I'm with my friend Nel.
Yes, my name is Nelma Kwesira, and if you just joined in, we are here at the Parliament and there's so much noise because there's so much happening. Tawo, what is it that you love about all of this?
Alright, so far I'm loving everything. You can see the young cars just marching right there, and just dressed like what you see the presidential guard wearing, and everything is just perfect. You can see that we've got a bright future just looking at what those young kids are doing.
Yes, and if you watch closely, you'll think maybe you made a wrong choice by doing what you're doing, because they are doing something great and something amazing. But then the Children's Parliament of Zimbabwe was established in 1991 by the government of Zimbabwe under the Ministry of Youth, Sport, Arts and Recreation.
Yes, and as I was saying, just looking at what they're doing is what you actually see on Independence Day celebrations. It's because this, as Dino was saying, it actually mirrors the structure of the senior parliament, consisting of a children's senate and lower house of assembly, with each constituency having a child representative. So the child parliamentarians are aged between 12 and 18, and they are sworn in to represent their peers from all of the provinces, all constituencies from all over the country, all over Zimbabwe. And this just reiterates the fact of leaving no one and no place behind.
Yes, we are 12 to 18 years old, meaning they are the future and they are doing amazing things. They are the junior parliament, bayenza decisions on behalf of the other children at school. So now when I was school and you know anyone over junior parliament, yibo ke abalingadisa ukuthi bethathe izinhlupheko zenyu, any problem that you're facing, and then babone icebo elihle ke ukuthi bangakwenza njani ukuthi lingabe lilokhe likhala. So the best thing about the junior parliament is that they gain leadership skills at a very, very young age.
Indeed. And sometimes, even though I'm older, I just reflect and think, if I had the chance, I would go back there and make sure that I join.
Yes.
And just going to remind you, over 30 years ago, thousands of brave children in Soweto demanded quality education, and hundreds of lives were lost as a result, unfortunately. And today we're still fighting for the rights of children to have free and quality education. I'm saying it's still happening today. We are still doing the same thing. And if you're a child of Zimbabwe, then you ought to do the same thing. And child parliamentarians are vital in advocating for the rights of children in Zimbabwe. And over the years, they have played an instrumental role in ensuring that children's rights are upheld, and that issues affecting children from all corners of the country, including those from marginalized communities, are addressed by the government and other stakeholders. And you know, earlier on, we're talking about how some people might think it's just all about the blazer and so on, but it's actually more than that. We're not going to forget about the rights of children being upheld.
Yes, talking about blazers, I see so many blazers around here, meaning that all schools are already
Indeed.
here. They are very punctual and they know what to wear and how to wear. The blazers, they're so amazing, unlike yours, Tao.
All right, you got me right there. But
Yes.
anyways, it's so inspiring to actually think and look at how even those young parliamentarians are working hard to make sure that the rights of the children of Zimbabwe are upheld. It just shows that, you know, they've been given this responsibility and they're making sure that they do deliver. We're talking about quality education. We're talking about free education, and you know, there's issues of like drug and substance abuse, which are also just fighting us as the people of Zimbabwe. And these child parliamentarians are also supposed to you know, prioritize such issues as they are affecting the
Yes.
children of Zimbabwe. So yeah.
And the best thing is that they are the ones that are going to school, so they know what is affecting them. Unlike a situation where these children are seeing what is happening and they are working towards making sure that nothing bad is happening at schools. And then again, we are waiting for His Excellency Lionel Mazarire of Chinoi Technical College in Mashonaland West Province. We continue to say congratulations, halala, Amhlope, Your Excellency.
Yes, and still on that, you know, before we move on any further, I just want to give a remark about on what the child president, His Excellency President Lionel Mazarire said. And this was just a few days after his election, just a few days, you know. And he just talked about how, you know, we need to take all of these things from paper. You know, we talk about, oh, we want to do this, we write it down. We want to do that, we write it down. We record it and everything. But then he was emphasizing on taking it from paper and making it practical. And you know, this is so beautiful and so inspiring, just looking at it, and then you think that, wow, this means that the lives of the children of Zimbabwe are in the perfect hands, because he's so concerned about the welfare of children.
Yes, sezandleni ke ezinhle kakhulu izandla esifuna ukubona izinto elabantwana abancane. I love what he said, and from the looks of it, Tao is a very big fan because he has been complimenting the child president. So the 2024 Presidium consists of President Pius Lwandile Leya and the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Sitabile Ntiko. These are outgoing, because this is just an amazing year. Instead of just outgoing, they're going to be part of the Senate, meaning which they are the first ones, which instead of which they channel junior parliament, they are going and they are upgrading to being part of the Senate. The outgoing Vice President, together with the outgoing MPs, they are right here with us. And of course, we'll witness the arrival of the junior service chiefs. Then the child president will arrive. We'll witness the arrival of the junior service chiefs. Then the child president, like I mentioned, uzofika here lapha.
Yes, and now I think now that we've talked about how they now are jumping into the Senate and everything, I'm sure now you understand why I said if I could go back in time, I would join again to make sure that I get such opportunities. And congratulations to them. And aren't you going to ask about my favorite part as well?
Okay, what is your favorite
Thank
part?
you so much
Since
for
it seems
asking.
like you want to tell us.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for asking. Definitely one of my favorite parts of this day and the event is the inspection of the Guard of Honor by the incoming child president, where you will do the walk. And so it's such an exciting event for me. And one thing I've understood about you know, the inspection of the Guard of Honor is the fact that it also just places focus on the issue of discipline. And I then start to reflect and think, okay, so if this issue of discipline is being you know, focused on when they're so young, then what is our future going to be like? It's definitely going to be a bright one, a beautiful one, a positive one, because they're actually placing focus on it at such young ages. And also the newly elected junior parliament leadership includes the incoming Speaker of Parliament, that's Honorable Michael Ndambani of Chaplin High School in Midlands.
Yes, Tawo, since you're not going to ask me what my favorite part is, I will just tell you. I love the fact that these children, they know how to debate. They know what to say. They already have their facts. They do not need to research and then they start thinking, no, if you're watching alone, make sure you tell your friends to tune in to ZBC as abantwana kumele sibekwazi ama rights ethu. Kumele sibone laba abayenzayo lokho abamele bekwenze. Lawe nje nxa ufuna ukujoina i-junior parliament, this is a space for you to watch and see what really happens. The amazing moments, and again the theme is planning and budgeting for children's rights progress since 2010. This is the official opening of the 33rd session of the Junior Parliament.
Yes, indeed, the official opening of the 33rd session of the Junior Parliament. It is such an amazing day because we're actually coming to you live from the new Parliament building in Mount Hampton. And one of the most special things about this event is that we've got a very special guest of honor. I'm talking about the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Comrade Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, who's going to grace this event and is expected to arrive any second from now. And like we mentioned earlier, this year's theme is planning and budgeting for children's rights progress since 2010. And this event runs together with the celebrations of the Day of the African Child, which is a very important day in the lives of the African child. And as soon as the guard of honor arrives at the inspection line, we expect cabinet ministers as well as the members of parliament and other dignitaries to also make way.
Yes, it's something that is scripted just for drama, entertainment. No, but everything that is happening here, it is the same thing that is happening with the senior parliament. So each and every step that is going to be taken if they are electing the senior parliamentarians. So make sure we are noted down all the things that you love. Tawana, when they say children are the future, they really mean it.
This is exactly what they mean. And you heard, just talking about how the children are the future. And she also talked about how today you're going to see the amazing debates that are going to go on in the parliament. That's the junior parliamentarians having their debate. One of the things I love most about this day is that, the cabinet ministers, members of parliament, and also the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, as well as the vice presidents, they are all here to address the issues of these children, which means that after these children debates, after these children just put their issues on the table, they're going to be responded to, and then that means that all these problems are going to be addressed. Solutions have to be proposed as well. And I remember last year, one of the ministers talked about how the children now need to not just complain and talk about what they need, what they want, but also come up with solutions.
Yes.
Come up with even not just solutions or where you're going to type them out in prison, as we were saying, but also tangible solutions. Now there's the issue of internet challenges. How can we address that? Then they come up with solutions as the young people. So yes, that's one thing we're looking forward to.
Yes, Tao, and talking about these things, I noticed that whenever we were at school, we never really said much about it. We just let the junior parliament handle all the problems. But instead, if you are at school and you're saying that there are so many changes that can be done, you can take it as your right to actually go to those junior parliamentarians and tell them what you think should be done. This is not just their job.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. And one of the things that we can say, we can actually see, is that the government is really trying hard to make sure that the children get the different opportunities when it comes to succeeding, when it comes to coming up with solutions, innovation hubs, and so on. But then, I'm sure that people are still looking forward to more of it, and more is going to come up here because we're here for basically the whole day. But anyway, so we're just going to cross over back to our podcast studio, so you just make sure that you stay tuned.
Good morning, Zimbabwe. Gracing your presence today is Tangarazwa Kugara Kuripi from First Choice Group of Schools. I am so grateful to be presented with an opportunity to amplify the voices of the youth. I am here on behalf of my brothers and sisters to let you know as a nation that us youth, we deserve the right to be heard. We deserve the right to quality education, the right to safety and protection, for we are the better tomorrow. Therefore, I encourage you as a nation as a whole to pay close attention to us as the youth, for we deserve the opportunities to be so innovative, to enhance our leadership qualities in making our country better. We know from history an African child was always silenced, was always told not to think outside the box, but I am stepping out of those norms. I'm here to stand out for our rights, that we have the right to be heard, the right to better better our future, and it can be achieved by giving us quality education, guidance, protection, and support from our leaders. Therefore, as a nation, I encourage you, stand up, rise up, fight for what is right. We are the youths. We are the future for tomorrow. And with an African child, we can achieve so much heights. Thank you. Tinotenda Siyabonga.
Good morning, Zimbabwe. Standing before you is Adrian Chisora. Standing before you, I am talking about commemorating the child, the African child to be more precise. We're standing here and living in Zimbabwe, being the future of you. We are the hope, we are the destiny. We are what everyone looks forward to. We keep on working and keep on working with the government of Zimbabwe in trying to advocate our voice in the governments of Zimbabwe. What has the Zimbabwean government done? They've brought up the junior parliament. What have they done in the junior parliament? They have discussed about the Dhaka Declaration, which wants Zimbabwe to bring about 20% of its budget into supplementing the African child. That is a program that shows how the government is trying to implement its plans into our future, implement what they think is the best thing for us. What have they done too? They have implemented some systems like the BEAM system. The BEAM is whereby they pay for school fees for students who can't afford to come into schools, but now they've opened those doors for those children. Because they know we are the future, we are the destiny, we are what matters. From now on to forever, we are still the future, the African child. Thank you.
Day of the African Child. What is it? This is a day that has been commemorated on the memory of those children who died in the Soweto uprising. The Soweto uprising, it was sort of like a call by those African children for the government to answer to their calls. They were not getting enough education, and they had their pleas to direct to the government. They went to that uprising to search for free education, or rather to learn the education system in their own language rather than apartheid, because they were busy preaching Africa in our own language. So on this day, various committees, organizations, for example, the African Children's Committee on the Welfare and Rights of Children, they come together and they find ways to answer to the pleas of the children, advocate for the rights of the children, where various objectives and principles have been put forward. To add on, Kelvin Chiuri, help us.
So this day was meant to take an assessment to what the governments of Zimbabwe, of African countries rather, are doing to promote the rights of children. The day is also meant to encourage the governments to incorporate the children in their national budgeting and planning as well. It is meant to form sort of public-private corporations by the government and private sector to promote the rights of children as well. So the day is mainly focused on improving and observing the rights of children. Adding on, we have to improve the quality of education, the quality of life rather. So it is meant to assess the child friendliness of the budgets of the African states. So Gamshirai might have something to say about what is being done in our own country, what has been done so far, and what is still being done. I leave this to Gam.
The theme of 2025, it was planning and budgeting for the children's rights. Progress since 2010. So we are looking at the progress that has been made to advocate for those children's rights since 2010. Our government here in Zimbabwe, they've introduced, firstly, to answer to the questions of the nutrition, poverty being dealt with African children in Zimbabwe. They introduced what we call homegrown school feeding programs. In these school feeding programs, various members, the government or other private corporations, they donate food to the schools where children that are living under poverty can get to have a healthy, nutritious meal at those schools. But under this, we are facing challenges. Even though it was implemented, there are some challenges. Recently in Kwadzana Primary School, there were challenges and issues of teachers that have been caught with those foods meant to feed the children living in poverty, but they were caught with that food. What do we do about that? That's when we call to our government to monitor those evaluations that have been put forward. If you put forward a solution to that question, at least if they monitor and check its progress, they can see whether it is being implemented as is supposed to be implemented. Secondly, to answer to the health issues in Zimbabwe, many children don't get that opportunity to visit health facilities and get immunization. It starts at birth, right? To reduce the child mortality rate, immunization for all has been accessed under the immunization policy, where the schools, clinics, or anything offer those services to children who are underprivileged. They get to be vaccinated, immunized against such diseases. And of recent, we had an epidemic of COVID-19 that was answered by our government. Schools, children got to be vaccinated against that, and that was a success. To add on our agenda of the day, there is this policy, sort of like a principle and objective of the children's rights planning and budgeting. We look under the child inclusion in these planning and budgeting processes. That's why we have introduced the junior parliamentary system. To that, we would like to say thank you to the government of Zimbabwe for introducing that, because when they introduced that, they gave us room to express. If the plea comes from a child directly, the government is more likely to engage and interact on that and see the value of the children's voice. If we are heard, then it means our rights and welfare will be taken care of.
Murkawato, as I greet in a mesmerizing way of Africa, for I am an African child, born of a skin that is 1 in a million and adored by many. Born with morals and values, a child who will look back to the community after success, a child who is proud of her fellow brothers and sisters, one that is proud of a culture which states watinta bafazi, watinta bokoto. If you strike a woman, you strike a rock. A child who has dreams that are rooted in the soil of a land. A child who is proud to be an African child, for I am an African child, with the name Shalom TC from First Choice Group of Schools. Thank you.
Imagine a world where every African child has access to quality education, healthcare, and protection. A world where their rights are respected and their potential is unleashed. As Isaac Newton's third law of motion states, and I quote, "For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction," close quotation. Today,